Welcome to the Terrible Podcast with your hosts from SteelersDepot.com, where you can find all your latest and greatest Steelers news. It's Dave Bryan and Alex Kozora, always lit, talking Steelers.
And now, here's Dave and Alex.
Welcome to the Terrible Podcast, Season 16, Episode 14. He's Dave Bryan. I'm Alex Kozora, SteelersDepot.com. Thanks for being back with us this Friday, Steelers Nation. Dave, the Pittsburgh Steelers finishing up their preseason slate with a 19-10 win over the Carolina Panthers on Thursday night. Next game Pittsburgh plays will count for real, September 7th against the New York Jets. It was a sloppy game overall, despite the win. A couple of chunk plays for the offense, one notable injury to Derrick Harmon to discuss, and a whole lot more to talk about as decision day nears August 26th, as the Steelers and NFL will cut down the rosters from 90 to 53. So, Dave, how you doing?
Happy Friday, Alex. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, if you will. Wake up to the all-22 tape being there. Steelers finishing the preseason 3-1. And I say 3-1 because they got 2 wins last night.
I see what you did there.
And I think we can kind of jump right into that. But I've got a chance to go through, obviously went through the TV tape last night. I don't know how far you were able to get through your defensive charting and all. Maybe you'll have some numbers to glean from that for us here. But got through probably almost the first half of the all-22. And TV tape. But the big story last night, we were all holding our breath before halftime there for sure because of an injury to a first-round draft pick.
And you invoke that phrase, beautiful day in the neighborhood, one said by Fred Rogers, to note the win, the all-22 tape, but most importantly, some good news on first-round rookie defensive lineman Derrick Harmon, who left in the first half with a knee injury, appeared to be a right knee injury, was immediately ruled out by the team, carted off. He looked emotional as he was taken back to the locker room, so immediately fearing the worst for him, and then saw him on the bench late in the fourth quarter, smiling, walking back to the bench, and Mike Tomlin providing the update post-game, calling it a knee sprain. Now, we don't know exact details on the severity and exact nature of what that knee sprain entails, but does not appear to be a season-ending ACL tear. Seems that Harmon has avoided the worst-case possibility. Jerry Dulac reporting that he's expected to miss a couple of weeks. So will he play week 1? Seems up in the air, maybe more unlikely that he plays than likely he suits up, but Harmon will play this year, and that is good news overall.
Yeah, boy, the still frame of him being carted off that you posted with the towel up over his head and the look on his face, and the team immediately ruled him out with a knee injury. And I wonder how many people have holes in their wall that they got to patch up this morning. Man, you want to talk about potentially dodging a bullet there. They certainly did. I know I thought the worst. I know that you probably thought the worst as well too. And even the initial replays that we saw, I think KDKA had an over the top shot, and then obviously there's just a regular TV angle, and that happened on the interception play by Pierre in the end zone there. It was still kind of hard to glean what actually happened there, but I think looking back on it now, and there's a good shot of it on the end zone camera on the all-22. I don't know if it's more of a twist or a sprain or a knee bruise the way he hit the ground. At the very least, to hear Mike Tomlin talking, he was asked specifically, is this potential season-ending type injury? And he reiterated, he said, I said it's a knee sprain. So it feels like, and of course his reaction on the sideline coming back out and didn't miss. He say he walked all the way across the
Right.
field and all like that. I mean, you're not going to let a player do all that if you got a tear or something like that in there. But I suppose I'm not a doctor. I'll only play one on Twitter. Not very good one. I'll probably would have some malpractice suits against me, but you got to just feel great overall, all things considered here. And, there is 16 more days now until the Steelers play the Jets. And now you're kind of thankful that there's that lag week within there. And if he's not able to suit up, let's say for the first one or two games, it feels like at the very least he'd be able to go by week 3. But who knows? Maybe he'll be back. Maybe he'll be ready to go by week 1.
Yeah, you don't know for sure, but just happy that we're having that conversation right now.
Right.
Because for a time last night, it seemed like it would be a miracle if he would come back at all this season. And Pittsburgh's had a really bad injury bug for rookies: Roman Wilson, Trey Fautanu, Corey Trice, Calvin Austin, of course, Will Howard missing the summer. We're fearing the worst with Derrick Harmon. So really good news there overall, even if he does not suit up initially. So that's the headline of the day. The additional headline is the sloppy nature of this game. Pittsburgh playing virtually everybody who was healthy. There were 4 healthy scratches of Aaron Rodgers, DK Metcalf, Cam Hayward, TJ Watt, some other injured guys sat out, but Pittsburgh played its starters more than it has to date this preseason, despite Mike Tomlin saying earlier this week that it would be dictated based on who Carolina was playing, and the Panthers played nobody. They sat 33 guys in this game. They
Couldn't
played
believe that.
their backups upon backups, but Tomlin's still putting his starters out for a series or 2. So those are the headlines, Dave. It was a peak preseason game. It's the type of game that drives you to drink a little bit because it was sloppy offense, defense, and even a bit on special teams.
Boy, what did we say? The first preseason game was very entertaining. I thought kept you intrigued. Both sides of the football, both teams against the Jaguars. Second one, not as good. The last one, that was a dog. Especially once you got, really right from the get-go, the Steelers sloppy with the penalties and the tackling. They had 13 penalties for 104 yards in this one. What did Chuck Noll used to say after the final preseason game? Cutting's not the problem, stopping is.
Rings true last night.
Yeah, sloppy. I thought there were obviously some positives to take away from this on both sides of the football, I thought overall there. But yeah, just a rough game to watch. And then, even before halftime, you're just more worried about Derrick Harmon. Then you're starting to go through your head, what is this going to do to the 53-man roster? And that kind of thing there. And unfortunately, I know you had the Pittsburgh broadcast. Well, I had to suffer through the Panthers broadcast on NFL Network, and that's not always great. But anyway, yeah, sloppy game overall. The Steelers had a couple turnover in this game, and thankfully they got a couple back from the Panthers, and they ended up obviously winning the game. But the real win, I think, came after the game when Mike Tomlin called that only a knee sprain for Derrick Harmon.
And one last thought on Harmon. There's been not as much as maybe I thought initially. Maybe I'm missing some of it. Some critique or questioning of why Harmon was playing in this game, a first-round rookie, counted on to have a big role. To me, that is, I know as you've talked about, it's always in hindsight, but I don't remember a single person saying pregame, during the game, oh my God, why is Derrick Harmon out there? Pull this guy, yank him. So that's always kind of my gauge of, is there any justification to critique playing this guy or not? And nobody, myself included, and I'm sure you as well, thought, oh, Derrick Harmon should not be out there. He's a rookie. He needs to get reps, needs to get as ready as possible for week 1. So yeah, in hindsight, if someone told you Harmon's going to get hurt in this game, of course you don't play him. But right. I think there's no critique here of Tomlin or the team to play him in this game.
Yeah, look, you damned if you do and you damned if you don't, really. And that's the case every preseason when it comes to these guys. And, obviously we'll see how Aaron Rodgers is after not playing any snaps, and DK Metcalf and TJ Watt, Cam Hayward going through the preseason without any snaps. But yeah, you can't predict that stuff, and you got to get these young guys snaps, get them ready for the regular season. So I have no qualms about that. It's the old thing that, shit happens, basically.
Yeah. Other injuries in this game, the only one Tomlin mentioned by name post-game in addition to Derrick Harmon was wide receiver Brandon Johnson, who suffered a foot injury. Tomlin said that is also being evaluated like Harmon with his knee, so we don't know the status there. Johnson was trying to fight for a last spot on the 53 or a practice squad spot as well, so we don't know his status going forward. Some injured players who did not play in this game: Calvin Austin, Dante Kent, Corey Trice, Calvin Anderson, Ben Skoranek dressed, it appeared, but did not log a snap.
He did play evidently 2 snaps.
He did.
I can't find them, but they were on special teams.
Okay. But nothing on offense.
Nothing on offense. 2 snaps on special teams. Those had to come early there, but I just have not rolled through and found them. I haven't looked for them yet, but the game book says 2 snaps on him.
Okay, he had battled a toe injury, missed the second preseason game, so healthy enough to dress and play a little bit. That should be a good sign for week 1. One notable goose egg, we don't know the story, injury or otherwise here, Beanie Bishop Jr. and Terrell Austin talked about this is a big game for Beanie. Go out there, last chance to state your case, and he ends up not playing.
Yeah, that was a little bit of a surprise. It makes you wonder, look, you're rolling your other guys out there like Ramsey and Slay and Joey Porter Jr. and all healthy guys will play. So I've got a couple of theories on this, and they're pretty pretty black and white. I think either he got injured late in the week with something and could not go, or they've had a call on him and some team wants him, and kind of like the old baseball.
Right.
We're trading for him. Don't start him today.
Did he dress? Do we know if he dressed
I
at all?
don't
Did he
know.
get hurt in warm-ups is my first thought.
I don't know. I wish I did know, because once again, you go back. When did Terrell Austin say that about him? And what did they have as a way of practice after that?
They spoke, the coordinators did, earlier in the week. I want to say it was Monday or Tuesday. They talked to the media. Arthur Smith and Terrell Austin did. That's when those comments were made.
All right, so maybe he just got dinged up in practice or whatnot. But then Mike Tomlin talked on, what day did Tomlin talk on?
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Well, we talked both days, but his presser was Tuesday.
All right, he didn't mention Beanie during that. So
yeah, there's never been a mention of a health issue with Beanie Bishop, but he's not playing, and that's not just a healthy scratch. We've seen enough from Beanie Bishop.
All right. I mean, is there another team? Is it plausible that there's another team out there that and the Steelers are happy with what they have, and especially with, I think Daryl Porter Jr.'s had a nice little run with the Steelers here since being added. Is there a possibility that another team could value Beanie and want to trade for him?
I mean, if that was happening, we should know very shortly. If there was a trade so much to the point that they decided not to suit up Beanie Bishop in this game, you would imagine that news would be coming across 2 minutes after our podcast gets recorded. That's typically when that news tends to break. So teams have been very active on the trade market already. Saw a flurry of receivers traded, a couple defensive linemen traded to the Jets. So teams are not holding their powder and waiting to the last second to make these deals happen. So if that is the situation, then I would think we'll hear about it very soon.
Weren't the Dolphins kind of banged up? Could he be joining Minka over there or something? Have another trade with the Dolphins or something?
Who knows? The Colts have had a bunch of corner injuries as well. So I couldn't tell you. All I can tell you is he did not play last night, and that is certainly notable.
All right.
Isaac Sayamalu also not playing. Mike Tomlin admitting on the broadcast before the game he got cold feet on playing Sayamalu, and so he did not take a preseason rep, joining Rodgers and Metcalf and Hayward and TJ Watt. But
Highsmith didn't play, right?
Herbig.
Yeah, I could roll down the list here in a minute. Herbig did not go.
Of course, no Will Howard, but that was pretty much expected at this point.
Let's see. The list says Metcalf, Rodgers, Will Howard, Calvin Austin. Juan Thornhill didn't play in this one?
He did not. He did not play at safety.
Trice, Beanie Bishop, Dante Kent, Chris Kunitz, obviously, Nick Herbig, Alex Highsmith, Calvin Anderson, sat another one out, Aiden Williams, Isaac Sayamalu, Jonnu Smith, TJ Watt, and Cam Hayward.
Smith still may be battling that knee injury. Aiden Williams got hurt, didn't practice the last day of training camp, never came back. And so Pittsburgh a little bit shorter on the offensive line. Yeah, it was Chuck Clark and Deshaun Elliott getting the start at safety. I'm basically through my charting on paper, and
Okay.
Thornhill did not log a snap.
Man, I wish I knew what was up with Calvin Anderson.
Have we seen Calvin Anderson? Anyone know? Is he on a milk carton somewhere? Where is Calvin Anderson?
Yeah, does anybody know Calvin Anderson? If so, send us an email. Let us know what's up with him.
All right, Dave, top line view of this game. Again, very sloppy overall. Like you said, 13 Steelers penalties, 3 combined turnovers, 20 combined penalties. They were combined 1 of 4 in the red zone. Looks like the Panthers had 84 passing yards. I mean, it was just a mess upon mess upon mess. But Pittsburgh playing some of their starters and not looking particularly strong. It is preseason. You're not really game planning. The field looked like a slick mess, or Pittsburgh had bad cleats. I don't know, maybe a combination of both. So certainly not the outing you wanted when you're playing some of your better guys, but you take these things with a grain of salt and know it's going to look a lot different. You're going to have more help along the way come week 1.
Yeah, that's a good point about the slipping, too. You can see Jaylen Warren slip around on a couple of plays early on. Noted him on the TV tape first time through as well there. Where do you want to start? Offensive line? I thought the starters that rolled out there played other than the penalties. I thought the starting offensive line did a fairly good job.
Yeah, it was good to see them run the ball more. It felt like more of an effort to run the ball behind that first team offensive line. As you mentioned, Jaylen Warren getting some reps for the first time this preseason. Caleb Johnson getting some burn, had a couple decent runs, finished with 5 carries for 24 yards. Warren, 2 carries, 3 yards, but 1 good run was called back on an early Zach Frazier hold. Kenneth Gainwell had a 26-yard run, called back on a Pat Freiermuth holding call. So it was just tough to evaluate the offense in a lot of ways because you were so backed up. You were in 3rd and 28 at one point of this game. So makes it tougher to evaluate. The offensive line I have not gotten the all 22 to dive back into it yet, but it's just the penalties kind of really muddies the waters of this game.
Yeah, it was good to see Ryan McCollum back in uniforms playing, but he had a couple of penalties in this one as well. Anything real before? I mean, we'll talk more about this of the all 22 once you get a chance to digest it, and I digest it a little bit more. But beyond, I'll tell you some things that kind of stuck out to me going on through the second and third groups and all like that. I had said prior to this game I really wanted to see Andres Pete play some more at left tackle. He did not. He played at left guard again, and I thought he handled himself well there. But outside of his first game against Jacksonville against left tackle, he only played left guard the final 2 games. And I think what does that tell us, and what does that tell us about Andres Pete's career? He's been a left side guy primarily. Second is, I think his value in the NFL is a left guard. I don't think he's a swing guard. I mean, I don't think he's a swing guard, and I don't think he's a swing tackle. I think he's a left guard. So, I mean, obviously you could get snaps out of him at left tackle, but I did also notice that Dylan Cook played left tackle and right tackle in this one. So there's that to think about. We know the other Spencer Anderson can play both guard spots. I think we saw Sharping come in and play right guard, I believe, in this one. Those were some of the notable things that stuck out. So not knowing the status of Calvin Anderson makes this really, really tough, I think, because I think there could. Here's where I'm going with this.
Okay.
Is there a team out there that could use a left guard right now that Andres Pete would fit the bill for?
In a trade?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't see that. I mean, he was out there in free agency until early August, and if you cut him, maybe someone would pick him up. But I can't see a team trading anything for Andres Pete.
All right. I mean, would you agree that Andres Pete is very, very borderline tackle guard?
Yeah, I mean,
guard tackle.
primarily a guard. He can play left tackle in a pinch is probably the way I would frame it. My overall thoughts is the O-line depth is still just as concerning, probably more so at the end of the preseason as it was at the start of training camp, where I thought it had a lot of questions because of the injuries. And McCollum came in and he was healthy, and that's good, but 3 penalties in this game. Dylan Cook with a penalty, he's had a couple of flags this summer. My question is, Dave, who's your next man up a tackle right now for week 1? And I do not know the answer.
I don't either, especially, I mean, if Calvin Anderson's healthy, I would
Sure.
I
But
would
is he
think,
healthy?
yeah, we don't know. I think that it's Dylan Cook, Alex.
I mean, he has been the healthy guy, and he has worked at both tackle spots, but is that your top option? I mean, he's a guy that I thought had just an okay preseason. He was available, and that's going to count for a lot in this world, and he can play those tackle spots left and right side, but he's not particularly strong. I didn't think his camp was especially excellent. There were a couple penalties in there. It's a really dicey situation. And then even at, guard and center, McCollum struggling some. Now that was his first game back, and maybe the one penalty shouldn't have been called on him. That last one, maybe that was borderline. It's hard to tell, but yeah, it just is a concern across the board for me.
And tackle, anybody that's cut, unless you trade for another tackle somewhere, you're not going to probably win the waiver wire war.
Yeah, Pittsburgh down on that list. I'll have a post. It's already written. I did this pregame for tomorrow with 4 tackle suggestions. There's a couple of vets around the league I would watch out for. I'll give you a couple of names just off the rip right now. Jackson Barton in Cleveland, Carter Warren with the Jets are 2 guys that may not make those 53-man rosters that I could see Pittsburgh pursue.
Are those guys that would likely be waived or terminated?
I believe Barton is a vet, and I think Warren is borderline. I don't know if he'd be vested or not, but Barton should be a vested vet.
All right. We're back to the same place that we were starting this summer, right? Offensive line depth.
Right. If not even a worse place, because Anderson's health is a complete unknown. And the line is just trying to work back to health right now. So could Anderson be IR to return? We'll talk about our rosters Monday. I've not finalized my last roster prediction. That will go up Sunday morning, but we've not even heard any word of him practicing, right? I mean, maybe he has, but it's not been reported, not been mentioned. We know Calvin Austin's returning to practice in some capacity. Same with Dante Kent, even Corey Trice getting some light work on the side. I've seen nothing on Calvin Anderson. So I think if there is a most likely suspect to be IR to return on cutdown date, it's the guy who apparently has not practiced in any capacity yet.
Right, and obviously not played any preseason snaps.
Right. So hard to evaluate the O-line. I got to go through the all-22 tape. The starters, just didn't get a great feel for it. Of course, Carolina playing their backup, so no Derek Brown. Didn't get a chance to see the Panthers' top guys in this game. But just glad to get some runs out there that had some decent success, even if there were a couple holding calls to brought them back.
Yeah, had the Zorro toss with Caleb Johnson's first carry of the game. That popped a little bit there. Boy, what do you anything else about the offensive line as we start going through kind of position groups there? I thought the running backs again represented himself well overall. Sans really Jaylen Warren. Jaylen Warren had the early put the football on the ground. That's obviously not great, and he slipped on a couple other carries, I think, there as well too. But I thought Caleb represented himself well. Sermon. Lou Nichols continues to had a nice preseason. Evan Hull had a nice run later in the game as well too. So yeah, I thought the running backs overall outside of Warren represented himself well.
Let's talk about Trey Sermon, Dave. I have an article this morning that talks about his preseason as a whole and all the hats that he wears, and he does a little bit of everything for you as an offense. He can run the ball some. There's some power at a 30-yard run yesterday. He can catch a little bit. He can block. He's got size. He's a multi-phase special teamer. He can run down kicks and punts. He's returned to kick this preseason. 4 carries, 39 yards, 3 receptions for 14 yards, including getting a first down on third down on a short check down, broke a tackle, made a guy miss, and dove for the marker. So is that a sleeper candidate for the 53? I know we've been talking it's going to be 3 guys, and it's normally 3 running backs and not 4, but they've kept 4 before. And if there is a 4th guy to consider, it's Trey Sermon.
Yeah, but kind of hard it feels like to dress all those 4, right? So And then with the crunch on at least the initial 53, it feels like he'd have to go off the roster first at the very least, and then come back to it through some sort of manipulation.
Possibly. I mean, elevation practice squad, that makes sense. And I'm not particularly worried about him getting pursued elsewhere, even though there are some seemingly running back needy teams around the NFL. But I don't know. That's a guy that I think is going to be at least very borderline and has done all that he can to make a strong a case as possible to stick on the 53.
Yeah, I think my hope is that he would clear and then land on the practice squad along with Nichols.
I was researching last night. In 2021, they kept 4 running backs, and Kalen Ballage was that 4th running back. And there's a little bit of Ballage vibes with Sermon, kind of a bigger guy. I think Sermon's a little more explosive, a little better runner overall, and probably the better special teamer. So just as kind of one point, if this roster looks a little funky, just something to keep in mind.
All right.
But yeah, Nichols continues to stack good in-stadium performances. There's certainly practice squad material with him. Caleb Johnson, I thought, ran well. There was the 1 third down run, good vision. I think it was Fryermuth and maybe Roman Wilson that washed down their defenders, and Johnson bounced it appropriately outside and picked up the first down. So tougher start for Johnson, but I think it got better each time he got inside a stadium.
All right, tight end. They rolled Darnell Washington out there for 13 snaps, and it looks like he survived. He played pretty well as well, too, in the blocking department, so that's a plus there. Fryermuth obviously didn't play. He played 13 snaps as well, too. Had the hold, drew a pass interference call early. I think had, 1 or 2 catches in this one as well. Connor Hayward obviously got some burn. No Johnny Smith. The other tight ends were just playing out the string there. I would potentially look for this team probably to add. We'll see if I guess you could do worse than JJ Galbraith on the practice squad, but if you could find a better blocking tight end via cutdowns to land on the practice squad, I might be more apt to go that way.
Sure, we talked about that. Almost throwing a Washington insurance if you needed a blocker, that would make sense. I think Galbraith is still a candidate for the practice squad. He played a lot on the special teams, highly conditioned, a good athlete. He had a hot start to training camp and then faded from there, but I think there's still something to work with. But as you said, not a whole lot to note at the position.
All right, wide receiver.
Scotty Miller, if he hadn't already, Dave, I think cemented his spot on this 53.
Yeah, I would agree there. All that dude is, boy, what were they playing? Quarters there, and the safety just standing still, and Scotty just ran by him there.
Preseason football.
How do you let a guy get behind you late in the first?
There's like 12 seconds left.
Yeah.
Like, what are you playing, 10-yard dig? Like,
yeah.
What are you talking about?
Yeah, and why do you touch him down on top of it?
Yeah, they got crazy at the end because was he down? Was he not down? Was there time running out? But it's very appropriate that was a 53-yard reception for a guy that, again, probably cemented his spot on the 53.
Mm-hmm. I thought I don't think Roman Wilson didn't crack the stat sheet, but I like some of the blocking that he had in his limited time out there. They also used him on the kickoff return team, and I think on some gunner as well too, didn't they?
At least kick coverage. I don't know about gunner. I have to go back and check, but I saw him out there running down a kick late in that game.
All right, Lance McCutcheon had the touchdown in there. A nice stop and go move, stutter move there on the outside for the touchdown there. Got the cornerback to bite. Had a couple other catches in this game as well too. Keyshawn Williams is a guy that real quick to the tuck and get upfield. I think you even noted that a couple times during the preseason there. Also returned. He was the only guy to return punts, wasn't he?
The entire preseason, no one else that fielded a punt return. Now, there were injuries. Calvin Austin, Dante Kent, had those guys been healthy, they probably would have gotten some more Kent at the least, but it was only Williams.
Is this a guy that's going to land on the practice squad now because of that?
That's my expectation, not just for that, but I think what he did overall. You watch him put his hand in the pile. Go watch that Trey Sermon 30-yard run. Who's cracking the safety? It's Keyshawn Williams. put Sermon's one-on-one with the corner, and that's the matchup that you want. Williams has been a willing run blocker. Look at the Trey Sermon touchdown on the screen pass in the opener. Williams stop blocking the corner. He can return. He's got speed. The hand's a little questionable. So I think he's a guy, especially with Calvin Austin, not 100%. I think he'll be good for week one, but maybe some insurance there. Backup punt returner. Yeah, Keyshawn Williams should be practice squad material.
All right. Brandon Johnson, unfortunately, left early with that foot injury you already talked about there. And that was a guy that was already kind of borderline anyway. Is that going to cause him to get waived injured?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we just don't know the severity of it, but that seems like at least a possibility. Max Hurlman, hot start, quiet finish, 1 catch for 4 yards in this game. Still feel like he can make the practice squad, but didn't quite run through the tape the way that you would like.
Right. It kind of tailed off in each of the games, I think, overall. Started off hot in that first game against Jacksonville, and then had to drop again in the end zone against Tampa Bay, and then really didn't make much of a splash in this one.
And as you said, Lance McCutcheon, some good plays, 3 receptions, 52 yards, a touchdown from Skylar Thompson. He's a guy that I thought would have a little bit more buzz this summer coming into training camp. Was a guy who's made a 53 before, has played in the NFL some, but he has lasted this long, outlasted Brock Taylor. We'll see if he's able to stick.
What did I write about him in my 90 and 30? It's always fun at this point to go back to...
Right, because he had made the Rams. He had played, I think, as a rookie. Didn't play a lot on offense, but just made the roster. Got some praise. Had a good camp that year, of course.
Let me see what I wrote about him prior to this. They signed him to a reserve future contract in January. Came on the heels of the wide receiver spending several weeks, roughly a month, on the team's practice squad. Originally signed by the Rams in 2022. Let's see. Since his 2022 season with the Rams, McCutcheon has been on practice squads of the Texans, Jets, and Steelers. Looking ahead, seems poised to compete for a practice squad spot, as he probably is not a legitimate to make a 53-man roster. 2022 is the last time McCutcheon saw time in an NFL game. Same goes for him still being without an NFL reception despite playing in 10 NFL games. So he does have some special teams experience. Doesn't appear to be a huge asset in that phase of his game. He did show that he could return some punts. So there is that aspect to him. So that's kind of loosely what I wrote about him pre-training camp.
Any other thoughts on the receivers, Dave?
No, that's got it.
Give credit to Rowan recovering that fumble, just ball awareness. That's always important to coaches. So no receptions for Roman Wilson, but I think he's done enough to make the team feel good about where he's at going into the regular season. All right, quarterbacks, of course, can't forget about them. Mason Rudolph threw a bad pick. He gave the rookie DB credit for, he said he bailed on his own, but he was kind of reading Mason Rudolph, dropped into coverage and got depth and undercut that route over the middle, intended for Keyshawn Williams. And so Rudolph, a good summer overall, but not a great end to his preseason.
Look, if you go back and look at the all 22 on that, if he gets that ball out quicker, he has that. But it looked like it was against cover 3, and that drop defender corner on that side there had. It just, because of the waiting on, had really no one to cover. I think did Rudolph say he should have dumped that down to who was it, Caleb, over on that side? If he would have, Caleb would have had a nice one-on-one opportunity against that same guy that intercepted that pass. But I think if you go back and look at that, if Mason makes a quicker decision, gets that ball out, he completes that over the middle there.
Yeah, or if he put it a little more downfield, but he just never saw the defender, and so that just kind of just oblivious, blind to it, I should say, and paid the price for it. Skylar Thompson had another strong game, Dave. The box score looks good, 11 of 13, a $152, a touchdown. Again, he was the guy that hit Miller for that 53-yard reception to get points at the end of the half, hit McCutcheon for the 24-yard touchdown. So start to finish, a nice job there for Skylar Thompson this whole summer.
Boy, if you were to pick an offensive MVP for preseason, and a lot of those guys are probably not working in the NFL at this point. But you'd have to probably either be Skylar Thompson or Scotty, a couple of, Scotty Miller or Skylar Thompson. Those guys really, really shine during the preseason there. Now, it is, of course, preseason there. We've said it. This guy is going to have a job in the NFL on a 53-man roster. Now the question becomes, Mike Tomlin really defended him during the post-game press conference. Said, "Look, this is a guy that's played quarterback in the NFL, even playoff games with Miami, and he's got basically, he's got talent there." So the whole question becomes, do you IR Will Howard and keep Skyler, and or entertain your best offer? And if you can't get anything more, then you should definitely try to sell this guy for more than just a 6-for-7 swap, right?
Well, it's just tough. Teams are only going to give up so much, especially for half the league only carrying two quarterbacks these days.
And here's the thing about Will Howard. If you do, and I think there was some, he was out there pregame going through some footwork and all like that. You don't know how far away. I think the Athletic, the Fabo wrote that it's a spiral fracture. I think our Dr. Mills probably going to try to write something up on that. We've been keeping her busy with these the doctor is in post the last couple of days, but we'll see what she has on that. If you do send him as one of the two players prior to cut down to IR, they automatically get the designated to return tab. So are you, and let's assume Calvin Anderson is another one. All right. Well, you only get 8 of these designated to return players. Am I correct?
For the regular season, correct.
All right. So you're essentially burning 2 of those 8, right?
Yes, they did it last year with Dylan Cook, who ended up not playing a single snap and spent one day on the 53, and Jeremiah Moon. So I think they're going to be willing to do it if that's the most logical thing to do, which I think is increasingly a likely outcome.
All right. So that's the only downside is you burn, especially if you play it. Look,
But what is the alternative? I mean, you could, if you want to keep Thompson, then you can keep 4 quarterbacks, but then you're keeping 4 quarterbacks.
yeah.
And which would you rather do? Have to occupy a roster spot for a 4th quarterback, or burn a IR to return spot?
Right. Or the only other alternative is to trade Thompson.
Yeah, and you could explore it. I had this suggestion of the Jets because they need backup help with Tyrod Tyler on the men. The issue there is, of course, you play the Jets week 1, and you want to go trade your quarterback so you can go tell all your secrets to the Jets coaching staff. But we'll see what the market is out there. I think, and I don't want to spoil my prediction, it's not set in stone yet. I think it's above 50% Thompson is kept and Howard is IR to return, because he is not thrown yet, to our knowledge. If he was throwing, I think we would have heard about it by now. There's probably enough justification to put him on IR to begin the season.
And you want to, I mean, you go back to posts you had early in the offseason about how many teams ended up playing 3 or more quarterbacks last year?
About 60 quarterbacks play each year, roughly, and about half the league ends up playing 3 quarterbacks at some point along the way, including Pittsburgh has done so each of the last at least 2 seasons, even though Kyle Allen got a couple snaps last year. That was a 3rd quarterback that came in, along with, of course, Fields and Russ. So, yeah, you never know. And I think Pittsburgh has certainly valued their quarterback depth and experience top to bottom. Thompson has it. You and I talked about this well before Tomlin mentioned it, about his experience, and preseason action is kind of light work for a guy like Thompson that has played in the regular season, started a playoff game. It's not a surprise to see him go out there and play well.
Here's the other thing. If all you can get is like a 6-for-7 swap for Skyler right now, or let's just say a straight out 6 or a 7th, but you did hold him until Will Howard was completely healed, and up until his Skyler Thompson's trade value, it seems like, could only go up the longer he's on the roster and the closer you get to the trade deadline, right?
I mean, that's a lot of steps down the road. I know with more injuries, but then you're trying to get a guy in season to pick up your offense, and that's even dicier. I think his trade value is going to be what it is. It's going to be a late day 3 pick, maybe a pick swap, if there is any sort of market for him in the first place, which is no guarantee.
Would Skyler, I mean, you could probably pick out a handful of teams where Skyler would be the number 2 quarterback, right?
I'd have to go down the list. You also have to judge it in do they want a guy to come in and then 2 weeks later be their number 2 and he's going to pick up the offense? I think ideally he's more number 3 for a team to start, or if there's an injury where they just need a guy like the Jets makes sense there. Maybe he's a number 3 with New Orleans, for example. I hadn't gone through all the depth charts. So, could there be a trade market? Yes, but I think Pittsburgh also likes to have Thompson and have a group that's healthy and has worked this summer and have that experience top to bottom so that you don't keep Will Howard and then go after the week 1, Rodgers goes down and Howard's one snap away from playing despite missing the entire preseason.
Is your quarterback depth chart better or worse with Skylar Thompson?
I mean, it's better.
Right.
He's had a good preseason. Yeah. The question is, and I'm sure people are wondering why we're not talking about it, is there are some, and not even just the internet, but Ramon Foster, Charlie Batch, post-game last night were saying, should there be a battle for the number 2 spot between Thompson and Mason Rudolph? I don't see that. I think Rudolph is entrenched as the number 2. I think it's a little prisoner of the moment to say, well, Rudolph had a bad game, so demote him. But I think Thompson is the number 3 is just fine with me to start the season.
Yeah, I definitely see where people are at least trying to present that as our argument. But I would expect Mason to be the number 2.
Yeah, he's going to be the number 2. There's to be no question about that to begin the season.
All right.
But we shall see what happens with Skylar Thompson. One of those interesting decisions the Steelers will have in a couple of days come the Tuesday cut down. So any other final thoughts here on the offense? Logan Woodside finished the game 4-6, 38 yards. Didn't throw a pick at least. Played okay, but he's going to be an easy cut.
Yeah, easy cut there.
All right, going over to the defense, Dave, the defensive line, the Harmon injury aside, I think the buzz of the day is going to be Y.A. Black. Much like that first game, Y.A. Black put on a show, and even a bigger show with 2 sacks and showing the belly, and more power to him.
Boy, what a preseason that guy's had. Really showing off that athleticism and that pass rush skill. I already knew that he's pretty good against the run coming out of Iowa, but boy, you want to talk about a guy that has so far shown that he should not have been a 5th round draft pick. It's him. There's not a lot not to like about what he's done, and obviously ended up going out in the preseason, putting on a very good showing overall. You can move that guy around. I think Terrell Austin even said, you could. If the need comes up, you could even play him at nose tackle there overall. But yeah, this is a guy that's going to be active week 1 and is going to see snaps.
And a decent amount of snaps at that, especially in assuming that Harmon is not able to make it back for that game. Yeah, I think he has been the biggest surprise to me, and maybe I underestimated him. I feel like I certainly did. His athleticism, his power, his balance has been a bit better. Some things to work on. I think staying on his feet a little more coordinated, but those are nitpicks overall. He's been an impact guy. 2 sacks on back-to-back plays, forced the fumble. The run defenses look good. This is a guy that's going to certainly have a meaningful role in the rotation of Pittsburgh's defensive line.
And the batted down passes, and he's going to block a kick or an extra point too at some point, I think, as well too. So nice preseason for him. That's a nice draft pick.
Logan Lee, it was a big game for Logan Lee. He played a fair amount of snaps in this one, Dave. What were your thoughts on his performance?
For starters, he was in one of those things that I wrote up, kind of some unique about 7 things to kind of look for in this last preseason game. And I titled this one, Lee him in, or Lee him on the field. I wanted to see a lot of snaps from Logan Lee in this one, and we got it. A lot of people have him as a lock to make this roster. And especially on the heels of what happened with Derrick Harmon. I'm not seeing it, Alex. I'm not seeing it. I think he's still's got to show that he's got some sand in his pants and not get pushed around a lot. Of the guys that played a lot of snaps on that defensive line last night, I thought he was the least impressive.
I still have to go back and evaluate. I was just doing my charting last night. The hand use seems to be a bit better. He's getting off of blocks better than maybe he has in the past in his rookie season. But yeah, there wasn't anything that's jumping out at you that says, well, this guy's got to really earn a spot. Now, does the Harmon injury complicate things and maybe open the door a bit more? Potentially, but in a vacuum, does his play warrant it? I don't think he's gotten over that hump yet.
I don't either. Now look, if you really like him, it should be no problem getting him through waivers and getting him on the practice squad. You could always elevate him, you know. I maybe I'll be wrong here. I don't know, but I'm just not seeing uh he's got to make the 53-man roster.
Yeah, I think that's a fair take overall. Daniel Quale ended up playing one snap at left defensive end in Pittsburgh's base 3-4 last night. At least one snap. I'm not 100% finished with my charting yet. I'm almost done. And then Lee was at nose tackle on that play. But for the majority of the game, Quale was still nose tackle, and Lee at defensive end or D tackle. So just kind of brainstorming maybe some different looks. Of course, when the roster gets trimmed down, you just have fewer options. And with Harmon's injury, Quale is the guy that's played a lot of end in his career, has not done so in Pittsburgh. He's been basically the second string nose tackle the whole way through. That's a guy that could play a little more defensive end if Harmon's going to miss some time.
Yeah, I thought Quale and Otomewo popped a little bit more on that tape last night than Logan Lee did.
Otome was a good athlete. Chased that
Yeah.
one. I think it was a little quick throw in the flat and chased it down. I mean, he's a guy that can offer more athleticism, probably a little more pass rush than Logan Lee can, and maybe even more than Quale. He's really just kind of a one-note bull rusher and run plugger.
Keanu Benton still got his one trick.
Just need that second trick. But yeah, that club over is his go-to, always to the right. I mean, but at this point, once teams start game planning, once you're facing starters week one, like everyone knows what Keanu Benton's moves are. Now, that move is so good that sometimes it's still hard to stop, and you still have to kind of see it in person. But just if he just got that second move, you would have something really special there, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
And then I don't think there was a whole lot else to know. Kyler Baugh picked up a sack, which he was super pumped for, which good for him. I think he's mid-camp ad. He's got good energy. He's got some power. You know, obviously not going to make the 53, but just happy for a guy having a big moment.
Agreed.
All right, let's look at outside linebacker. That Jack Sawyer ended his preseason on a good note, Dave.
I thought it was a better game for him, potentially his best of the preseason. You want to talk about somebody had probably his best game in a Steelers uniform was DeMarvin Leal. I thought DeMarvin Leal really popped in this game. I wish I could combine DeMarvin Leal. Did you see the one time DeMarvin Leal comes off the edge and he didn't get involved in the tackle, but he kind of somersaulted over and he did that flip up again?
The kip up. Yeah, he does that. He's done that at training camp. Yeah, like I said, I see he's a crazy athlete. That's the stuff I'm talking about, like things you just don't expect guys of his size to do. But it was the best of times. It was the worst of times with DeMarvin Leal because there was as much good as there was bad. You're lining up off sides on the first play of the game. You're a fourth-year vet and you're lining up in the neutral zone. Like, what are you doing? You're missing sacks. You're playing out of control. You're getting penalties. It was a face mask. I think he got flagged for later in the game. So yeah, there was pressure. There was impact plays. But there were a lot of bad ones too for a guy that can't afford a lot of bad moments.
Right. At least he popped on this one, but it's too little. I mean, it's too little, too late, probably in his circumstance. You have to wonder though: is he a 4-3? Is he a 4-3? Is he a 4-3 specialized pass rusher in the NFL?
I think he's best as a 4-3 I think that's ultimately where he should go in terms of the system and scheme fit. Is he a pure pass rusher? I don't know if he's that. I think he's just an athlete that's kind of sits on the back end of your depth chart, can play on special teams a bit. I still won't give up all hope of a potential trade with him, unlikely as it is, of course, and whatever compensation you get back would be very, very light. I had a hypothetical conditional 7th-round pick to Washington with Dan Quinn in that system where I think he would fit well. The Cowboys, where Quinn was DC when Leal came out in 22, had interest in DeMarvin Leal. So maybe there's still some team that wants to take a chance on him and thinks they can use him more effectively than Pittsburgh did, but I just don't see it in Pittsburgh.
Agreed. I wish you could take DeMarvin Leal and Jack Sawyer and combine the two. You'd probably have pretty damn good outside linebacker at that. But I thought Sawyer was okay. I top to bottom overall, I'm a little bit disappointed in Sawyer throughout the preseason.
What did you want to see more of?
I just thought he'd be a little bit better pass rusher.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's fair. He's not toolsy athlete. He's toolsy in the sense of there's a good repertoire and he's got a lot of rush moves, but there's not the high-end traits that can maybe get around some of these offensive tackles. But I thought it showed a bit more last night. Stunts he was effective on, got a pressure, had a quarterback hit. Had a couple pressures around the edge and just played really good run defense.
I thought Eku Leota had a much better preseason. He's definitely somebody you're going to tab to go to the practice squad. I thought it was a pretty good game for Julius Welshoff. I thought this was Julius Welshoff's best preseason game of the three. And obviously he's an international player, should land back on the practice squad there. So not a bad, basically not a bad group of edge guys to go into the season with.
Does Leota remind you of Herbig? Because I think there's a lot of similarities between the two.
I mean, he's got a good. He can win with speed.
Yeah, he's got a good get off. He's not the biggest guy, maybe a bit bigger than Herbig, but they're guys that win with speed and threaten off the edge more. But they can hold up against the run too. They're not, incompetent. They're not liabilities against the run. Yeah, I think Leota, Welshoff are really good practice squad material.
Yeah, I think those guys are definitely practice squad guys.
And we should note the new signings all played to some degree last night. Cornerback Cam Alexander, outside linebacker Kenny Willekes, and offensive tackle Julian Pearl all saw late action with the Steelers.
All right.
Inside linebacker Patrick Queen getting his first preseason and only, of course, preseason playing time. Peyton Wilson had a close on a pass, I think a screen pass he blew up, tackle one of those first long runs downfield by Carolina. I think the headlines here, though, are Carson Bruner, who had a bunch of tackles in this one, continues to make plays on special teams. Really, it was him and Mark Robinson recovering a fumble as the notable names here.
Yeah, look, we've talked about this group. This is a group. This is definitely a nice group to have when it comes to inside linebacker. I still look, is Malik Harrison a Landon Roberts to a T? No, I'd much rather have a Landon Roberts, I think, for what he offers. But I guess it's a good consolation prize. And Cole Holcomb can still do things for you. And I think Mark Robinson still gets the nod over Bruner when it comes to special teams. Should be no problem getting Bruner to the practice squad.
Is it close between Robinson and Bruner?
I don't think. I mean, no, I don't think so.
I think it got closer last night. I think Bruner did really well. I think what he offers on special teams is attractive, not just what he's done this summer, but his Washington resume. That was a big reason why he got drafted. I still think Robinson makes it, but I think it's a closer battle than it's been before.
All right.
All right, let's go to cornerback. It was the same configuration we saw in training camp play out inside a stadium for the first time. Ramsey playing safety in the team's 3-4 packages, personnel groupings, and then slot corner whenever they went nickel. You had Porter and Slay on the outside. Ramsey with a penalty after tackling the running back got flagged for unsportsmanlike conduct or whatever the call was, personal foul. So, but that is kind of the mentality. It's why you bring in a Jalen Ramsey. He was around the ball. He blitzed. He chased the ball hard. He made tackles. You don't want the penalty, obviously, but that's very much his game.
I think he just wanted to go out there and make a statement.
He was itching to, I'm sure.
My main takeaway from the defensive backs as a whole, tackling was just bad, especially early. Overall, not a lot to really kind of note, I don't think, as far as coverages and stuff go. Pierre got a gift interception there in the end zone. And what else really stuck out as far as this group? I mean, Clark came down screaming from the secondary, but I think he missed a tackle in there. A lot of those guys were, they got the burn that Mike Tomlin wanted them to get, and thankfully they stayed healthy. But I don't really have a lot of anything in here as far as notes as far as the corners go.
Josh Carney will be very busy charting all the missed tackles in this game because it was sloppy for the defense. Porter missed one that was called back on a penalty, so a little bit of saving grace there, but a missed tackle, still a missed tackle from the coaching standpoint out there in space. I thought Ramsey was just notable for his energy, his run defense. That one play that Renfro on that, maybe an RPO right side where Clark, I think you referenced, missed a tackle. That's Ramsey getting back in the play. He was blitzing on that play. He's racing back and making the tackle. Should have been stopped by Clark in the first place, but you just see the effort, the energy, the physicality from Ramsey, even in a couple of snaps and penalty aside, it was very noticeable with him.
Yep, agreed. Do you have any other notes on the defensive backs as a whole?
Well, as you mentioned, Daryl Porter Jr. has really worked his way up the depth chart here as a late camp ad, and he was playing ahead of Kyler McMichael last night. He was getting basically not starter reps. Once the twos came in, it was who was it? It was Pierre and Porter, and I don't know if Eccles was still in the slot at that point or if Jameson had come in, but Daryl Porter Jr. probably going to make the practice squad.
All right.
And then Bishop, the goose egg, just don't know what to make of that. I came into this game thinking Terrell Austin, that's probably a little more smoke, a little more motivation than Bishop's spot truly being in jeopardy. Now I don't know what to think because I don't know what's going on with him.
Yeah, is it injury? Did they get a call? We just don't know.
If Bishop doesn't make this team, is this 5 corners? Is there a 6th guy that we should talk about to make it, or is it going to be just 5 corners?
What's going to happen with Corey Trice? Is he just a cut because he was close to coming back, or do you put him, or do you IR, do you IR him, or do you just carry him and make him inactive until he gets his legs up underneath him?
We'll talk about it more Monday. I'm leaning much more towards cut and then practice squad because he seems close to a return. And if you IR to return him, he's out the first month and he hasn't practiced since Friday Night Lights, and so he's basically not practicing for 2 months at that point whenever he gets back. It's this guy that needs time. He needs reps. And so you can't have him on the sidelines unless he truly is injured and just unable to work, and he seems to be progressing. So I don't think you can justify carrying him on the 53 either because he's been hurt so often. How does this guy earn a spot after being hurt essentially all summer? And that's the story of his career for as talented as he is. I think you cut him. Who's gonna claim this guy that's been hurt all the time? Like what team hurting at corner is going to say, let's go add the injured guy all the time? So I think we'll make it through. You put him on the practice squad. If he goes on IR then you're paying him less money, which also might help as well. But I just think he's a practice squad guy, and you just hope for good health.
I mean, he's a physical guy, but is he even in the limited amount of time that he's been healthy, has he really even shown anything on special teams?
Yeah, I'd have to think. I mean, he played some last year, just hasn't been healthy enough to really get a consistent reps at it. And he was getting some dime work last year. I think he got hurt covering a punt last year against the Chargers, so he was out there on teams. But yeah, I think practice squad for him is the way to go.
I agree.
Let's see, it's safety. I thought Castro played well, had some tackles, physicality.
He should be a practice squad guy easily.
He came in ahead of Quindell Johnson. I don't know if that's a free safety, strong safety designation thing because it was Killebrew, it was Elliott and Clark to start, and then Killebrew and Clark, and then it was Killebrew and Castro with the next pairing, and then it was Castro and Quindell Johnson to round things out. So I don't know if that means Castro has the edge or just a positional thing, but that's at least worth noting.
I mean, you could theoretically have both Quindell Johnson and Castro on the practice squad as your 2 extra safeties, right?
Yeah, because you're only going to keep 4 in the 53, so to have 6 and have the 3 pairings for a second, third team would make sense, but we'll see how things shake out. At least one of those guys should be kept on the practice squad.
All right, well, and talk about IR designated return and how many you can send early. Well, what's going to happen to Dante Kent?
Well, Tomlin said he was progressing, and I assume that means some sort of pregame workout, which would suggest to me he's not going to be IR to return. That seems more like cut and practice squad for Dante Kent.
Or do you waive him injured?
You could do that, but if he was getting back to health, then you might not go down that path. So my guess is he'll be a waive. You bring him back to the practice squad.
Okay.
But I don't think IR to return is going to be the move there with him. But you never know. You can't predict these things. It's that one piece of information we just don't have a great read on, not being there at practice now, and obviously not being inside those conversations with team trainers and doctors, etc.
All right.
Dave, we can't forget about special teams and have yourself a game. Ben Sauls, the rookie kicker, 4 field goals, a 50-yarder, just a great game for Ben Sauls.
Yeah, it really was. Good to see him. And, I think even Carolina was thinking about, well, we think this is our kicker here. Is this a guy that could potentially land a spot somewhere?
He'll be on the tryout circuit. Matthew Wright was on the other sideline. I think he's in a battle for that job, and he's a guy that was in Saul's shoes a couple of years ago, undrafted free agent, no chance to beat out Boz, but kicked well, is stuck in the league, latched on to teams when injuries have arisen, including in Pittsburgh. He circled back a time or two when Boz wasn't available, so I think Sauls will be kept on speed dial.
All right. What about Jake McQuaid? Sounds like an action hero. Jake McQuaid.
Yeah, I mean, just no news is good news. He snapped well. There were no disasters.
One of them was high. One was high.
One of them was high?
Yeah, I think the first one to Cameron Johnston, he had to go up and go get it.
Okay, but no disasters, which is good. We'll take that overall because this operation, Dave, don't take that for granted. This thing could have gone sideways about 8 different ways this summer. You had 3 different long snappers in training camp. You got a rookie left-footed kicker. You got multiple holders in there in Johnson and Waitman, and the operations overall were very clean. So should be very grateful for that, and kudos to those guys for working and Danny Smith for coaching those guys up.
All right, who won the punting job?
Last night was not the best showing for either guy. Waitman's punt was a pretty bad shank, 35-yarder in open grass. Johnston had a 33-yarder. It was inside, I think inside the 20. I don't think that's shown in the box score for some reason, but I think that landed at the 13-yard line. So I don't know, Dave. This is still really close. I mean, did Johnston pull ahead a little bit last night? Only 2 punts in this game. For as sloppy as it was, you only had 2 punts. So you almost wanted to punt more, as we talked about, to kind of get more and more evaluation from these guys. Who are you leaning towards?
I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch all the punts. Who was the better punter in camp?
I mean, both were great. I'd have to check some of my charting that I did. Maybe
How
Waitman
much will
was a
play?
bigger leg.
How much will Waitman holding for Boswell for that great season last year, and pretty much all the season was the punter and all like that? How much will the devil that you do know more about right now at this point, and the fact that he's left-footed, and the whole Bill Belichick and the spin of the ball, and he's got a great leg. I mean, I don't think leg was ever the question really with him. I think it was more about stuff with placement and could he hold? I think that was a big thing. But this guy was a great holder last year, and Boswell has him trained just the way he wants him. How if it's a dead heat battle, look, whoever loses this, as we said, you should try to trade, and they probably will.
As in, they will trade him or try to trade him?
One of the two. Well, I have a feeling they're going to be able to trade whoever they choose not to keep.
It's close. Yeah, that's a fair point. I mean, when you're in a battle this close, it comes down to the margins and the chemistry and continuity, especially if Christian Kuntz can't be ready for week 1. Let's keep the operation as intact as possible to begin the season. I think the left-footed aspect for Waitman matters a bit more. That's a unique element. It's going to create a different spin on the football. It can create problems for returners. We saw one muff punt already from a Waitman punt this summer. But Johnson's also a vet. He's held his whole career. He's certainly capable and competent. He's probably a little more accurate than Waitman is, maybe a little more consistent too. Does the contract matter? They invested in Cameron Johnson. They were, of course, targeting him before 2024. You could really put this thing either way.
It's not like you save a lot of money, but you do save some money by going with Corliss Waitman over him. And also, is a vet like Cameron Johnston a little bit more marketable in the trade, because you do have a lot, this guy's been there, done that. And is he more marketable because of just been around longer?
Yeah, I mean, if you call teams and they say, we want Johnston and we'll give you a 6, but we're not going to trade Waitman for a 6th or 7th or whatever the pick is, then you say, okay, we'll keep Waitman and trade you Johnston. I mean, that's probably part of the equation because it is so close. But I put Waitman on my last 53. Did enough happen in this game to change it? Probably not. But again, this thing feels like a real coin flip.
Right. In other words, it won't surprise you if they keep either one, and it won't surprise you if they trade either one, right?
Exactly. Will they keep 2 on the initial 53 if they're still searching for a trade partner? It could happen, of course. It just happened with Braden Mann, but because they went with Mann and they were unable to find a trade partner, like either you're going to find a trade partner before cutdowns or you're not. You're not going to magically have a new door open post cutdowns. And so I think at that point, you either make the trade or you just make a decision by 4 p.m. on Tuesday.
And here's the thing, too. Waitman, I believe, would be subject to waivers, so a team wouldn't be guaranteed to get him, whereas Johnston would be a termination, I believe.
Yeah, but there's no guarantee he's going to sign with you either.
Right,
I mean, he probably would if there was a chance, but if there's 2 teams competing, so that's why teams trade for punters and kickers, not because they're the most valuable commodity in the world, but to guarantee that you get that guy and you don't miss out because of a waiver claim or he goes signs, somewhere else.
Do you think they will trade one of the two by the time 4:00 on Tuesday rolls around?
I'm going to say no.
I'm
Maybe
gonna
that's
say
the easy
yes.
answer. I looked around the NFL. There are not, to my untrained eye knowledge, not a lot of teams who seemingly need punters. I had a proposal where he goes to the Saints, where because the Saints have a battle there. There seems like there's no clear winner for the Saints punter, but there really aren't a lot of teams that are in desperate need of a punter.
Do you okay? So with that, then it doesn't make sense to carry two on the 53, right?
Right. I think you try to trade, but if you can't find a partner by 4 p.m., then you're not going to find one after. That's what's the case with Braden Mann. So just make your decision and cut the other punter.
Right.
Is Johnson under contract for next year? Was that a 3-year deal that he had signed?
Yes.
Is that a factor? And you have a punter under contract for...
Waitman's under contract too. Didn't he sign a 2-year deal?
Yeah, last year. So it's last year and this year.
Okay, it was last year. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I know Johnston's the quote unquote higher prize, and maybe he's the favorite from that. Remember, this is a team that drafted Colin Holba, a long snapper in the 6th round. We just assumed, well, he's a 6th round pick. He's going to make the team. He had a good battle. Was that with Cameron Canaday? And they kept Canaday over Holba. So this is a team that I think, true to their word, will make the best decision based on the here and now, regardless of contracts and regardless of anything else. Who is the best punter? I think they will be earnest and sincere in that decision.
Real quick here on next. Let me look at Waitman real quick here. Hold on just a minute.
On his what contract?
I want to see is he exclusive rights next year? Or
I wouldn't think so.
Is he restricted?
Was a rare restricted.
He will be restricted after this year. So you could probably, even though his contract ends, if you like what you got out of him, you could easily restricted tender him at a
original round level.
Yeah. But the thing is would a regional round, he was undrafted, wasn't he?
Yes.
Okay, so you'd probably have to do a 2nd round tender on him to guarantee you keep him.
I wouldn't do that. I mean, if someone wants to put in an offer sheet for a punter, we'll talk about it then, but I wouldn't. Okay. I wouldn't lose a lot of sleep over that. But I think, even though I'm bringing this up, I think the bottom line is they're going to just keep who the best punter is right now based on how the summer has gone.
Agreed.
Any other thoughts here? Any other special teams thoughts? Boswell, I think, did kick the first extra point. So Bos did have a little action in this game. Caleb Johnson. I was hoping Roman Wilson would get to return a kick in this one, but just never came to be. Caleb Johnson, 3 returns. He got popped real good. It was a couple of ex-Steelers from the
Steelers beating Steelers.
It was who was it? Jacoby Windman, the linebacker, who was in Pittsburgh last year. Had a good camp last year. He popped him, and TJ Luther had a first-time reception in this game. He was in Pittsburgh for that was the incompletion, Fields to Luther in the end zone, who had the wires crossed. There was a whole 1 week discussion about that, but that's all. It's all last year's news.
All right. One thing I forgot to mention, I thought Loudermilk put some good tape down last night.
Yeah, I have to go back and check. I mean, he's a steady run defender. He's a vet, so you would expect him to go out there and look good in a setting like that.
All right. I think we beat this bad preseason game up pretty good.
Just realizing for the Panthers, who did not play their top 2 quarterbacks, Bryce Young nor Andy Dalton, Jack Plummer got to start Bryce Perkins, spring MVP, had 3 fumbles in this game. So 3 fumbles and a half, kind of a crazy stat line there. Again, this was kind of peak preseason.
Man, and Andy Dalton's banged up for him over there right now, and Plummer didn't show all that much, 7 of 14, and Perkins
Skylar Thompson to Carolina?
I don't know. Possibly.
I know Dalton hurt his elbow. I don't know the status of that. It didn't seem like it was a severe injury, but I mean, you get these teams and they watch you play well against you. Thompson playing well against Carolina. That's a little up close and personal knowledge of, go get this guy.
Mm-hmm.
You got Dan Morgan in the booth in that game. I saw, talking to Steve Smith and company. So who knows? We'll see if Thompson is on the move. All right, Dave, any other thoughts? Any other news? Anything else late breaking? I know we got college football this weekend, which is exciting, but we got a whole lot of NFL to talk about as well. A lot of Alec Pierce rumors, and I think I started that with my article yesterday. I mean, there's not been any concrete reporting that he's on the trade block, but I still would love that. It's kind of my white whale I've been chasing for a long time. And Romeo Doubs, according to Matt LaFleur, is going to stay in Green Bay.
All right. Yeah. Okay. Shall we get to some emails? Got a bunch of them in here.
Yeah, let's get to some emails and close out of today's show.
All right, Caleb Zaborski's back in here. What is your guys' reaction to the Harmon injury and how that affects your comfortability with the depth at defensive line? Does this benefit Cam's negotiation with the teams if Harmon is out for X amount of time? Cam's going to be there week 1. I'm not concerned about it. I don't think he's going to try to use this as any kind of leverage against the team, regardless of how much time Harmon's going to miss. As far as comfortability with the depth at the defensive line, it's not great, but I mean, let's assume Harmon at least makes it back by week 3. I mean, I think Black can come in there and fill in. I think Aquale can play. When you get to that 6 and potential 5, 6, 7 spot, that's when it gets a little dicey within there. But I think just the whole buzz of what's happened with Yaya Black and the good news, hopefully, with Harmon, I think you got to feel pretty good overall with this D-line.
Will they go explore any outside moves, even knowing that Harmon is going to be back sooner than later?
I mean, if you do, it's going to be a minimum salary guy, I would think, right? And, how many teams are going to be looking for those? Are you really going to upgrade? And this all assumes that Harmon's back by week 3 at the latest. And, I mean, you could get by with Black and feels like Quale and maybe Otomewo. Yeah, I'm not saying it's impossible, but obviously a lot of it depends on Harmon and how long he's sidelined. But if if the news is good on Harmon and the most he's going to miss is the first 2 weeks, they probably stand pat on there.
Yeah, that's fair overall, and this is not going to impact Cam's negotiations. Had Harmon tore his ACL and been out for the season, maybe that would change the equation. But even still, the two sides know where they're at. The team knows how they're going to want to proceed. So I don't know exactly how it's going to shake out, but it's not going to be impacted by Harmon.
All right, Luke Weaver, do you know anything about Calvin Austin's injury? If he's not available for week 1, who's the punt returner? It's been Keyshawn Williams for most of the preseason, but he's not going to make the roster, right? I think it's the abdominal with Calvin Austin. And if for some reason he's not week 1, I would imagine that they'll try to get Keyshawn Williams to the practice squad and then would probably try to elevate him as an elevation to handle potential punt returns, him or Scotty Miller.
Yeah, they could one of two ways, exactly as you laid it out. Either elevate Williams or Miller, who's been in the punt return lines. He's not done. He has 1 career punt return, according to PFR, but he has been in the lines each day. I think they would trust him to go back there and do it.
Yeah, I agree. And you're probably not going to want to, if you only kept 5 on the 53 and Austin had to be inactive, you probably don't want to go into a game because Skoronek's a special teamer and battling a toe. You'd probably want another body in there anyway. Someone like Keyshawn Williams, probably, especially with Brandon Johnson banged up.
It would depend on what other elevations you might need in that game, that kind of stuff. Would you elevate a defensive lineman? Questions are too far out, but they'll have a plan. I think Austin will be good for week 1, though. That's my guess.
All right. I hope so, too. Jason Chadwell, full disclosure, I'm sending this email at halftime of the Panthers game. Some quick hitters here. Should we be disappointed by Sawyer's preseason? Didn't seem like he won as a pass rusher. I wanted to see more of him as a pass rusher. So, look, this is a rookie. This is a guy that is going to be in uniform, helping out on special teams. Your top 3 pass rushers or your 3 outside linebackers are obviously Watt, Highsmith, and Herbig. And the hope is you're going to have all 3 of those guys for week 1, 16 days from now. The hope is obviously you don't have to lean on Jack Sawyer much. But I think from what I wanted to see to what I saw, it was a little bit of disappointment for Sawyer.
I don't know. I mean, I have to probably go back and watch all of his snaps. I mean, obviously, there were some limitations as a pass rusher. I think the first couple games were a little bit tougher. I thought week 3 against Carolina was better. He also was playing a lot of snaps, and so there's a conditioning factor. Nick Herbig, as much as I love Nick Herbig, he gets to play fresh a lot and gets to help him a little bit. I mean, this guy, Sawyer's playing, he came into this game 101 snaps, and how many snaps did Jack Sawyer play last night? Do we have official charting, special teams, and defense on that?
Sawyer played
Probably another
33 snaps on defense, 8 more on special teams.
Yeah, so guy played almost $150 in the preseason. That's a heavy amount for a guy who.
What did we say the over-under was going to be?
150. Wasn't it 150?
I thought so.
So he played 33 and 8. That's 41. So he played 142. So the under.
Oh,
just barely. It was close.
And you took the under, didn't you?
I think I took the under.
All right.
But I think I just took it because you took the over, and I wanted to be different. So it was more just out of combativeness than me being right or anything like that.
All right. Well, we'll forget that happened.
Forget what happened. So yeah, with Sawyer, I think there's something to be said about conditioning and him having to play all those snaps, and it's going to wear you down as you're inside stadiums for the first time. So I can give some grace there. My thought was, whenever they made the pick, was he's going to be a rotational number 3 guy, can play the run well, offer a little against the pass, and that's kind of still my evaluation of Jack Sawyer.
All right. Number 2, should we be concerned with the age of the defense? I'll answer Jason's question with a question. Should other teams be concerned about the Steelers' age on defense, meaning they got a lot of experienced guys back there that can play now on that side? I don't have, I don't have any concerns about the age of the defense.
No, that's not my concern. No.
Panic level for how the Steelers came out and played against the Panthers. Look, it was a sloppy game. They should have been more prepared than they were. Especially against, as Alex said, the Panthers had 33 guys that they did not play in this game. Is there a panic level? Mike Tomlin said it best. We got a couple of weeks to clean this stuff up now. And you hope that you do. So panic level, no. I mean, would I like to see a cleaner game? Yes. Should we go with punter Johnston because there is a reason why he was signed early in free agent 2 years ago and has a longer resume? You want to just keep the best punter, period. I'm not concerned with the length of his contract or anything. Whoever, you just keep the best one.
It's just hard to know who is the best one because this thing was so close. That was a milder email for halftime than I thought it was going to be because it was pretty rough at halftime. The vibes were not good around, I don't know, whatever time that was, 8:30 last night. But yeah, I mean, sloppy plays are a big concern. Usually team-wide stuff, I don't take much of a grain of salt in terms of how that applies to the regular season because we've seen bad preseasons turn good regular seasons. And of course, we've seen vice versa. So not good, things to work on. But I'm just happy some of those guys got reps. I'm glad that Tomlin still played some of the defensive starters, even though Carolina sat all their guys. I think it was just good for Ramsey and company to get work like this, especially maybe just a little wake-up call. Hey, we didn't play too well. Let's go work on some things and be good for week 1.
But wait, there's more from Jason.
Right.
Will fans blame Tomlin for Harmon's injury? Unfortunately, injuries are part of the game, he writes. Yeah, some people evidently are blaming him. I think you had one rebuttal to a tweet that says he's a bust or sucks or something.
Oh yeah, that's a whole nother. That's a Twitter rabbit hole. Anyway, Harmon's okay. That's the good news overall. That's the real light to look at. No, as I said, top of the show, I don't put any blame on Tomlin because none of us. I didn't see a single person say pregame, "Oh my God, why is Derrick Harmon playing?" I think you can only use that and justify that criticism. Where if you're saying that, or at least there's some minority voice of saying that. Before the injury occurs. And if Aaron Rodgers had played, some would have said, "Oh, don't play Aaron. That's a bad idea." And had there been an injury, I think you could critique that. But Harmon, no, he needed reps. He's a rookie. It happens. It's unfortunate. Thank God it's not a severe case.
Agreed. Jeff Berg's almost got a duplicate of the punt returner one with Williams and Calvin Austin. So I'm not going to read that from Jeff because it's really the same as the other one. Jason Chadwell, let's see. We already read that one. Nason Casey, Blackett, nose tackle. If Harmon misses any time, would it make sense to put Blackett nose tackle and slide Benton out to end in base? It seems like Benton lacks the sand in his pants to play nose tackle. He was on skates on multiple snaps early against Carolina. Why not get the girth up the gut? I mean, here's the thing. How often are you going to be in base, Alex?
About a quarter of the time.
I'll have to see. Was Benton that egregious last night?
No, there's just been an overall consensus, or not consensus, but a viewpoint that he should be playing more defensive end, that he doesn't have the sand in the pants and the run defense to play in the middle.
I mean, could you put Black at nose tackle? I think Terrell Austin said that, yeah, that's an option for them. Do I think we will see a lot of that? No, because they're just not going to be in base a ton. And I think I'd much rather have Black on the outside than I would in the interior.
Well, I still like the idea of him a nose tackle, but I think he's proven he can play defensive end. And so they like Benton a nose tackle, right or wrong. I don't see why they're going to start shifting guys around when Black's done well at defensive end and they're comfortable with Benton at the nose. So, no, it's not going to change.
Aaron Whittington, that's a new name I don't think we've seen before. What's the chance Bruner makes the 53 based on his special teams value? Seems like he's always one of the first guys to the ball on punt coverage. Could be another killer brew type of guy that doesn't give you much as his actual position, but is a huge asset on special teams. Yeah, we kind of talked about that early in the show. Would your mouth drop to the floor, Alex, if they chose Bruner over Mark Robinson?
No, it wouldn't.
All right. Same here. I just think Mark Robinson gives you a little bit more there, and I just don't think there would be either one. Both of them would probably pass through would you'd be able to get either one to the practice squad, I would imagine. So I guess it's just which one Danny Smith trusts more.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how surprised would you be if it was Bruner over Robinson?
Probably a 6 to 7.
Okay. Yeah, I'd be in that 5 to 6 range. So like I said, would I be, I'm not expecting it as of now. I'd have a little reaction to it, but it wouldn't be mouth to the floor. Oh my God, this is crazy.
All right.
What guy played their way onto the roster last night, if any, and what guy played their way off the roster last night, if any? Or didn't play their way off, if you're picking up what I'm putting down about one Beanie Bishop, who did not play last night.
Oh, wow. I mean, a lot of this is just, if we knew the health of some of these guys, it would make it a lot easier. I tell you what, Beanie Bishop just did not help himself by not playing. I think that's one thing that stuck out. Man, is there anybody that played themselves onto or off the roster last night?
I think Skylar Thompson officially played his way on. I mean, he was trending that way, but I think what he did in a third preseason outing on the road, a good performance. Again, not challenging Rudolph for the number 2 spot. That's talked about a lot. It's not going to happen. I'm sorry, guys. But where they're going to say, be the number 3, we'll just IR to return Howard.
I mean, is there any guy that was on your 53 going into this weekend that you think, that did it, he's off the roster? I think that's the better way to look at it than on to, because the whole quarterback,
sure,
doesn't.
Well, Bishop's the curious case. I thought he was on it going into this week. I don't know what to make of everything right now.
It's not that
he's hurt.
It's not that Andres Pete played bad. It's just I kind of wonder about what is he, and a lot of that stems from what's going on with Anderson. What do they think of Cook? I don't think Andres Pete played himself on or off the roster. I think it's all dependent on McCollum obviously didn't have a good game. Would you trust Sharping to be your backup in center guard? Is that plausible?
It's plausible. I was going to mention Sharping. What's his status? We haven't talked about him as much recently, but he's still in the mix. I think he was a guy fighting for a spot last night. He can play center. He can play guard. He's a better guard than he is a center.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I mean, it's a plausible case to be made. I think McCollum will be the backup. I think I like him overall. What he did last year, replacing Frazier, is going to trump a couple of bad reps in his first time out. this year. But yeah, that's not a crazy idea.
I mean, once again, is there anybody that, other than the names we mentioned, that played himself off the roster?
I
That was
mean,
inside.
yeah, Lee was one of those guys that was really bubble, and you probably think that he didn't play off the roster, but just fell to the other side, the outside of the bubble. Is probably your evaluation of it.
Fell a little bit further outside the bubble than he started.
Yeah. Okay. And then anybody else? I mean, if Waitman, if they'd really taken to stock that Waitman shank, which I'll call it kind of a shank or mishit last night, does that play him off?
Nah.
I mean, they're treating this thing blow for blow, but it's that tight. One bad punt can tip the scales the other way. So normally it may not matter that much, but whenever it's that close, and I think it is that close. I don't know. Like I said, we'll see.
All right. I think we got to most of the emails here, Alex, and I think we're coming up on about an hour and a half here as well, too. So that's a perfect time. What are the plans now for us?
We will come back Monday. I would definitely come back Monday and go over our final roster predictions. And yeah, it's probably next time we'll talk.
What's the first thing you're going to the all 22 to watch?
I mean, for me, I just had my own weird process. Well, I mean, for me, I just watch the game start to finish. I like to watch it chronologically. I break it up offense, defense. I don't watch it straight through. I do it by units. But in terms of what I'm like looking for the most, yeah, probably something on Lee and some of these Pete and Cook. I want to watch them one more time to see who might capture those backup offensive line spots.
All right, agreed. Want to watch how Daryl Porter played in this one too.
Yeah, I think he's gonna stick around on the P squad.
All right, we will be back on Monday then, Alex. It's been a fun preseason. What's the future of preseason? It's going to come to an end at some point, isn't it?
I mean, not to an end and not anytime super soon. They're going to eventually, once they go to 18 regular season games, they have to go to 2 preseasons because the CBA says you can't have a more than 20 game slate preseason, regular season combined. So when do we get 18 games? Is that next year? Probably. And then we'll go to 2 preseason games and probably every team will have a joint practice.
All right. Okay. We'll be back on Monday. In the meantime, you can follow me on Twitter/X at Steelers Depot. Follow Alex at Alex_Kozora. Follow the show at Terrible Podcast. Email the show, theterriblepodcast@gmail.com. If you like what we do and want to donate to the cause and support my Friday spaghetti habit, SteelersDepot.com, hit the donate button. Also, if you like an ad-free version of the site, SteelersDepot.com, hit the ad-free button, follow directions that way. Don't forget about our YouTube page, and don't forget about Alex Kozora's YouTube page. You can go to both those and visit them and see, listen to podcast episodes, shorts, terrible takes, all those kind of things as well, too. So within all that, as always, thanks for listening to the Terrible Podcast with Dave and Alex.